You know, sometimes you move into a new place thinking you're starting fresh. Just you, your boat, and a quiet life by the ocean. But then at 5:30 a.m., a posse of luxury SUVs blocks your driveway, and a woman in a suit sharper than a shark's fin demands you get the hell out of her neighborhood. That's how my first week in Sunset Cove kicked off. And let me tell you, it wasn't just a bad morning, it was the start of a war I didn't see coming. I'm Jake Callahan, a guy who likes his coffee black, his boat rusty, and his life uncomplicated, but what unfolded over the next few days turned my world upside down and showed me just how deep greed can run. I just pulled my boat, the Salty Dawn, into the dock behind my new Placia Cliffside house in Sunset Cove, California. The kind of place that looks like it belongs on a postcard, all glass and steel perched over the Pacific, waves crashing below like they're whispering secrets. I was wrestling with a net full of mackerel, the morning fog thick enough to cut, when I heard heels clicking on my dock like gunfire. "You there? Drop that filthy net and explain why you're squatting in this house." The voice belonged to Evelyn Harper, president of the Sunset Cove Homeowners Association, a woman who looked like she'd never touched anything dirtier than a martini glass. Behind her stood her crew, 6 of them, dressed like they were about to close $1 million deal, faces twisted like they'd smelled something rotten, which I guess was me. I wiped my hands on my jeans, salt crusting under my nails, and turned to face them. "Can I help you folks?" I said, keeping it polite, though I could feel my pulse picking up. Evelyn clutched a leather folder like it was a grenade, her nails tapping a rhythm that screamed impatience. "You can help by packing up your junk and leaving," she snapped. "This is our community's crown jewel, not a flop house for fishermen." The house behind me glowed in the sunrise, worth $10 million easy, with views from the cliffs to the horizon. I'd only been here 3 days, boxes still stacked in the hall, but I knew one thing for sure. This was my house. I bought it fair and square. "Ma'am, I'm not squatting," I said, calm as I could manage. "I own this place. Closed on it 2 weeks ago." The laughter that followed was like nails on a chalkboard, sharp, mocking, unanimous. Evelyn practically choked on it. "You own this? A guy who smells like fish and drives that floating scrap heap?" She waved at the Salty Dawn, my beat-up boat that's seen more storms than her hairdresser. "Please, this is the Ellison estate, promised to the community by its late owner, Thomas Ellison. You're trespassing." I could have argued right there, but I saw one of her lackeys filming on her phone, and I figured, fine, let's get this on record. "I've got the deed, the transfer papers, everything," I said. "You're on my dock, uninvited, so unless you've got some legal pull, I'd appreciate it if you left." The silence was golden, but Evelyn's eyes narrowed like she was sizing me up for a coffin. "Legal pull? Oh, we've got that," she said, pulling out a document with a fancy seal. "This is a heritage agreement from Thomas himself, donating this house to Sunset Cove. He died 6 months ago, and you're defiling his legacy." That's when it hit me. His wasn't just about a house. Thomas Ellison wasn't just some rich guy to me. He'd been a friend, a mentor, the guy who taught me there's more treasure in the ocean than gold. 3 years back, I was just a salvage diver, scraping by, when Thomas hired me to hunt for the Santa Maria, a 17th century shipwreck loaded with silver. We found it after a year of diving, and he split the $40 million salvage rights 50/50ths, no questions asked. More than that, he taught me how to read people, how the rich played dirty to stay rich, and how folks like Evelyn used HOAs like a sledgehammer to crush anyone who didn't fit their mold. "Thomas didn't sign that," I said, my voice low but steady. Evelyn smirked. "And you'd know because what? You crewed his yacht." Her crew chuckled, but I didn't flinch. "I knew him better than you think," I said. "And I know he'd never let this place become some HOA trophy." Her smile vanished. "The police are on their way," she hissed. "We'll see how long your little story holds up." Sure enough, Two cops showed up. One of them Sergeant Maya Torres, a no-nonsense woman who looked like she'd seen every scam in the book. Evelyn launched into her spiel, waving her fake document, calling me a squatter, a fraud, a nobody. I handed Maya my papers deed, proof of funds, all legit. She scanned them, her face unreadable. "These check out," she said finally. "County seal, filed 2 weeks ago. Mr. Callahan, you own this property." Evelyn's face went from smug to scarlet. "That's impossible," she screeched. "He's nobody." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, you're the one on his dock without permission. I suggest you leave before he presses charges." I let them go. "No charges. Not yet." But as Evelyn stormed off, she turned back, her voice dripping venom. "This isn't over, Callahan. I've run this community for 12 years. I've buried bigger fish than you." Maya lingered, slipping me her card. "Watch yourself," she said. "Evelyn's got claws and connections. She doesn't lose gracefully." I nodded, but I was already thinking about Thomas's last email, the one that arrived a week after his accidental drowning. "If you're reading this, Jake, she got me. Check the safe in my study. Combo's the day we found the Maria. Don't let Evelyn win." That night, I cracked the safe. Inside were photos of Thomas's boat, hull tampered with, plus bank records showing payments from Evelyn to a guy named Victor Kane, and a contract for a luxury condo project on 4 Cliffside lots, including mine, signed before Thomas died. It wasn't just about control. Evelyn was running a racket, forcing out owners, staging accidents, and flipping properties for millions. I uploaded copies to the cloud, sent them to my lawyer, and braced for round 2. The next morning, a guy named Carl showed up, claiming to be a marina inspector with a clipboard full of fake violations. $5,000 a day for my boat's illegal mooring. I smelled Evelyn's handiwork, especially when I noticed Carl's badge had a typo marina spelled with 2 R's. "Funny," I said, recording him on my phone. "You look a lot like the guy in Evelyn's family photos, labeled Brother Carl." "Care to explain?" He bolted faster than a spooked fish, but not before I caught a drone buzzing overhead, filming me. Evelyn wasn't playing checkers, she was playing chess. By noon, she was back, this time with half the neighborhood, megaphone in hand, preaching about how my boat was tanking their property values. "This man's turning our heritage into a fish market," she bellowed. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others unsure. I stepped out, phone still recording. "You want to talk property values, Evelyn? How about the Millers, fined into bankruptcy over their kids' bikes? Or the Lius, who sold their house after your endless citations?" A woman in the crowd, Claire Nguyen, a retired prosecutor, pushed forward. "Jake's right," she said. "I've been asking for HOA records for years, Evelyn, and you've stonewalled me. What are you hiding?" The tide was turning, but Evelyn doubled down. "He's a liar," she screamed. "He stole this house." I held up my phone. "I've got Thomas's files, every fine, every threat, and a contract showing you planned to bulldoze this place for condos before he died." The crowd gasped. An old vet named Frank spoke up. "Evelyn, is that why the Wilsons' house burned down last year?" Her silence said everything. "Clara and I hatched a plan. My boat wasn't just a fishing rig, it was packed with surveillance gear from my side gig investigating maritime fraud. We tracked Evelyn to a meeting with Victor Kane on his yacht, the King's Gambit, anchored just outside U.S. waters. Under cover of fog, the Salty Dawn's hidden tech laser mics, thermal imaging, you name it, caught every word. "Callahan's a problem," Evelyn said. "He's got Thomas's files." Victor's voice was cold. "Then we handle him like we handled Thomas. House fire tonight." My blood ran cold, but we had them conspiracy to commit murder on tape. I gunned the Salty Dawn back to shore, Clara calling the Coast Guard while I dialed an old buddy, Mike, who owed me for finding his lost ship. His team of ex-Marines hit my house, just as 2 of Victor's goons were dousing it with gasoline. Clara, packing her old service pistol, barked, "Freeze!" One guy reached for a lighter. I took him down with a move I hadn't used since my Navy days. Mike's crew nabbed the other. By the time the cops arrived, we had the arsonist tied up, the house safe, and the Coast Guard boarding Victor's yacht. Evelyn and Victor went down hard her for fraud and conspiracy, him for murder and drug trafficking. Sunset Cove changed overnight. Clara took over the HOA, voided Evelyn's fines, and welcomed back families who'd been driven out. I stayed, still fishing, still digging into coastal scams, the salty dawn gleaming now, no longer hiding her strength. Thomas's house stands as a reminder. You don't need to be rich or loud to fight back, just stubborn enough to stand your ground. But here's the thing: Evelyn thought she could judge me by my boat, my clothes, my calloused hands. She didn't see the guy Thomas trained, the guy who'd learned to fight bullies with brains and grit. I wonder how many others out there are facing their own Evelyns, HOAs or neighbors who think they can push you out because you don't fit. Drop a comment. What's the craziest thing your HOAs try to pull? Or have you ever been judged for how you look, only to prove them wrong? Hit that like button if you think justice tastes sweeter when it's served cold, and subscribe so we can keep exposing the truth one story at a time.